Negative people, man. What a drain. Hey, what's up everybody? Tony with Lido Loca back with a daily vlog. I'm trying to practice a little bit before our next cruise, but I gotta run a few errands and I wanna talk about negative people, negative situations, and what you can do to deal with it. Let's go. Let's start with a little story time. Let's kick it back a few years to when the iPhone first came out. I was working as kind of a jack of all trades IT person for a mid-sized company in Tennessee, and one of my duties was corporate email. And we had about 100 users and everybody was on BlackBerry. It was the heyday of BlackBerry. But one of the vice presidents of the company that I was working for, he showed up right after the iPhone came out with a new iPhone, wanting email on his iPhone. Needless to say, technically back in the day, it was a little more complicated to get email on your phone, and you had to jump through a lot of hurdles. You had to have special equipment to get email to the BlackBerries, and there wasn't anything like that for the iPhone, at least from a corporate perspective, when it came out. But this guy was a VP, super important in the company, and he wanted email on his iPhone, and he came to me to ask for it. It stressed me out a little bit. Now, in reality, the request probably should have went to my boss, but you know, I had a reputation for getting things done, so I think that's why the guy came to me. But there wasn't really anything I could do, so I went to my boss and I said, you know, our VP wants email on his iPhone. What are we gonna do? So one of the best pieces of advice I ever got for dealing with situations that aren't normal is that you can't solve every problem, and sometimes all you can do is manage the exceptions. It was important for me to hear that message. I heard it from my boss that day, and it was about technical things, but as I've carried that along with me through life, it's actually a very valuable life lesson. We got mail. So here's what my boss was trying to tell me. In my mind, I thought, oh my gosh, we've got 100 people on BlackBerry, now we have one person on iPhone, we gotta redesign the whole system. It's gonna cost us so much money. We just spent all this money getting BlackBerry in, now we gotta redesign everything to accommodate for this iPhone user. And what my boss was telling me is like, that's not the approach. You manage the exception. We had to come up with a process for the guy that wanted to use his iPhone, but we weren't going to scrap everything else. We weren't going to do away with the work that we'd done for the 100 just to make an exception for the one. And that's what I found out with negative situations and negative people. Most of the time, things that are negative, they're in the minority. And honestly, it doesn't make sense to scrap the majority for the minority. So let's relate it to cruising. There's people that one or two things will go wrong on their cruise, and now they'll say the whole cruise was horrible. They've ignored all the positive aspects of their cruise and just focused on the one or two negative things, and they've let it change their whole attitude toward their cruise. The same thing with people, especially on YouTube. We get hundreds and hundreds of positive comments, but there's a couple negative comments that if we let it could really ruin the whole vibe of our YouTube channel and the way we feel about creating. The same thing in our Facebook group. We have so many people that contribute in a positive way, but there's one or two people that you know the only time that they're going to contribute is when they want to do something snarky or whether they want to do something negative. And it's such a shame because the people I'm thinking about, they have a lot of cruising knowledge that they could help other cruisers, but they choose to be negative instead of helping people. And that's just the way it is. And at first I got really frustrated with it. I got really frustrated with the negative comments on YouTube. I got frustrated with the negative people in the Facebook group. And then those words echoed back to me. You don't try to make a solution for the outliers, for the exceptions. You manage the exceptions. And there's a few ways that we do that, not only on YouTube but in our Facebook group, and also when we go cruising. So I will look, I'm gonna break that down for you, but I gotta get out of here. It's hot and it's noisy. Back to the car. It's an interesting time in which we live, but the choices are always still the same. When it comes to negativity, you can either deal with the negative person, you can try to rehabilitate the negative person, or you can manage the negative person. Unfortunately, at least in my experience on the internet, when it comes to YouTube and Facebook and social media, rehabilitating the negative person is not really the option that works most of the time. You find basically these folks are strangers to you. They've seen you on social media, you've made some sort of virtual connection, but at the end of the day, you don't have that much sway as to whether they're going to be a positive or negative influence. And so I think rehabilitation is out. Man, I just don't have time for the negative anymore. And so the way it plays out in life, for me is, you know, if you're in my family and you have a negative influence, I will, you know, obviously you can't cut off your family, but I don't really open myself up to folks that are like that. I will care, I will show concern, I will do everything I can to help the people that are in my closest circle, but I don't give them my innermost access because I don't want to deal with the negativity. And then extrapolate that out to the internet. We have the Lido Loca cruising community, we have the YouTube channel, and what's cool about social media is they normally have tools where you can cut the negativity out of your social media interaction without even talking to the person. And so on Facebook, you can, at least for the Lido Loca cruising community, if they're not a good fit for the community, we'll remove people from the community. And on YouTube, what's even better is, and we've gotten plenty of negative comments on YouTube, you just hide the user from your channel. It's such a beautiful system. They can keep posting hate, they can keep trolling, they can keep posting negative comments, but once you've hidden a user from the channel, they don't show up to anybody except themselves. I think they still show up to themselves. So I almost hate to let that secret out because you got people out there that are posting hate, think that they're making inroads, and nobody even sees it. So just to close it out, what I really wanted to talk about was just negativity, how to deal with negativity, especially in the cruising space, especially in the social media space. Just the big takeaway here is you don't have to rearrange your life to try to rehabilitate negative people. You only have a limited amount of time in this world. You only have a limited amount of capacity, energy in the day, and really there's no reason that you have to deal with negative people. Now, there might be people that are super close to you, and you got to come up with a process for that. But when it comes to the internet, when it comes to people trolling in cruising communities and on the web, just let them go. Don't waste your time fighting with them. At least that's the way I do it. We're 12 days from a cruise, trying to get the vlogging going a little bit, practicing a little bit. Did you find the vlog entertaining, helpful? Please hit the like button. Thanks so much for stopping by. This is Tony with Lido Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Like, unless you're a troll, then I probably won't see your comments. Bye.